Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed, but not read, by yours truly. My name is Kaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we find ourselves once more amid the hotly contested stacks of the library.
Right, so we're still doing this?
I've realized that you put me in a bit of a sort of an organizational trap when I proposed like a new campaign for a campaign platform, and I didn't really have a role to campaign for, and you suggested campaign manager. Now, obviously, that's silly, and
someone has to do it.
Yes, but that is...
I could be the campaign manager.
Of what? Of my campaign?
Well, I suppose.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's take a look. Like, are you on board with... looking at my platform, let's go over it again. So, draconian punishments for instead of late fees.
Yes.
Probably not corporal punishment, but definitely hard labor.
Okay, yeah.
And considering that I've put the bookcases on top of one another, and I am the only one who has access to the forklift truck, restocking the upper shelves is certainly hard labor. But I think that the bad people who deliver the books late should be forced to do that. I've encrypted the index cards.
Okay.
To make it a lot harder to find books.
Okay, so like more librarian dependency.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And I have trained myself both to perform the extraordinary mathematics needed to decode it and to keep it secret from myself. I've split my mind in twain.
I can't imagine that going wrong in any way, shape, or form.
I can't either, since I learned this technique. I used to be able to imagine it, but now I can't. I've segmented that part of my mind.
That sounds like exciting, yes.
Yeah, right. It's one of the things that I've really learned since I've arrived in this library, to segment the part of my mind that worries about the unintended consequences of my various schemes and ideas.
Okay, pleasant development, that.
For most of me, I'm sure there is some subconscious component of my mind that is just screaming in terror every time that it sees me reaching gleefully for the controls of the forklift truck. But hey, sucks to be Mr. Hyde, right?
Yeah. Well,
so how do you feel about coming on aboard as my campaign manager?
I just suggested that I would be suitable for the role, so I don't see...
Well, okay, and what qualifications do you have for...
I'm a librarian.
Yes, well, we've already established that just being librarians doesn't mean we necessarily see eye to eye. So as my campaign manager, how are you going to ensure that the library as a whole adopts my really upsetting policies?
Well,
including the bizarre ones that have yet to come.
Well, okay, so the ones you've proposed so far are definitely ones that I'm willing to get behind.
That's awesome.
Yes. Other ones, I don't know. We'll talk about that when the time arises. Just out of curiosity, what's in it for me in this job?
No, that was going to be my question to you.
Oh.
But that sort of follows this one. So after I've determined your fitness and your future commitment to whatever diseased imaginings my wet little brain comes up with down the lines, because the imaginary power is already getting to me.
Well, let's just say that I'm willing to campaign viciously on the issue of you becoming a campaign manager. No, wait. Which role were you?
That's another paradox, isn't it?
Sorry, but which role were you? Am I campaigning for or against? Are we just campaigning for these things to happen, or are we campaigning for a position?
That was your idea. Like, your whole idea was, okay, so...
You can campaign for a certain issue, but, I'm willing to campaign for those. Those sound fantastic.
Yeah, right?
I'll talk about them to management, and I'm pretty sure we can get those passed on.
Now, you've said a word there that I'm very interested in. What is management?
Me.
Oh, that is you?
Yes.
Oh, so you're going to talk to yourself. Have you also, split your mind and compartmentalized different parts of your personality?
Yes, it's called whiskey.
Okay, well, clearly I have a lot more to learn before I'm a senior librarian like yourself. But
it takes experience.
In the meantime, what do we have in store for our readers?
Today's book is by, actually, the same authors as last week's book. It's by Eric Flint and Dave Freer.
Yeah, who last week regaled us with the book Slow Train to Arcturus.
Yes, and now they've gone completely on the other side of the science fiction and fantasy
spectrum.
Thank you. It's called Pyramid Power.
And if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book. And if not, you can check the show notes for an image and a link. You can find us on covermyasscast.com, where you can find episode 76, Pyramid Power by Eric Flint and Dave Freer. And As much as I loved last week's cover, I think I like this one better.
Oh, it's great.
Like, there's a lot going on. It says pyramid power on it, but it's not in a pyramidal like configuration. It's just like the text is in an arch, which I love.
And I mean, there's a pyramid on the front there.
I know, there's a floating pyramid,
Yeah, with a lightning bolt across it and this...
Yeah, and internal refractions. It's so cool. And then fucking Thor... Essentially,
I suppose, yes. Middle-aged Thor.
As in Middle Ages, or he is middle-aged?
Yes.
Okay. Is held in the... I was going to say the caudal loop, because I know about dragon parts now. You know, the caudal spade?
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
so
that's
the tail. What normal
the sort of tail... Well, it's got it's the sort of... The dragon Thagomizer.
Yeah.
Is called the caudal spade, because it doesn't have pointy bits, like a... What was it, a steg? Stegosaurus?
I think it's a Stegosaurus, yeah.
Yeah, it has the sort of spiky club at the end of its tail, and then it was realised that thing does not have a name.
And then it became a Thagomizer.
Based on a Far Side cartoon?
Yes, Larry Garson. Garson? Yes, I think so.
You want to try Gary Larson?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. A pseudorism. And held in the caudal loop of a big old dragon with his tongue hanging out, and... I mean, he's a pretty hunky-looking dragon, I've got to say.
He's very charming. He's got the lovely bony ridges above the eyes, the very far back-running mouth, I noticed, even for a dragon.
Yes, and that's not a weird thing for dragons. Like, they have like, deep smiles.
He's got a cute little tongue, not even bifurcated, so just little point. Or maybe it is very bifurcated and we just can't see the other half.
Oh, this is one side. Oh, that's great. He's got sort of hamster cheeks, doesn't he?
Like, he does a little bit. Jowls. And he's got the ear flap thingies, which
I like those. They're huge.
They are. I'm not sure they're actually ears. They're probably not, but they're probably like the whatever that lizard.
The frills, like the Jurassic Park lizard that takes care of the evil nerd.
Incompetent nerd, more likely, but I wouldn't really call him evil, but yeah.
Wait, hold on. How's he incompetent? He shuts down the park with his evil software.
And then he dies because he's a stupid idiot.
That's how most people die.
Fair point.
Certainly in Jurassic Park, it's kind of par for the course. Like, why would anyone go there?
Yeah, I guess most people in Jurassic Park die ironically. But
I felt bad for the lawyer.
Oh, I can't even remember how he did.
He tries to
gobbled up in the toilet?
That's the one.
Oh, yes. So there's something that is like, there's some other coils of the dragon. Maybe the dragon's fist. If you look all the way at the bottom right.
The dragon's fist?
Well, yeah, if you look... You see there's some dragon knuckles there sticking out, I think.
I mean, dragon knuckles, I thought that was the euphemism for the bulge that this gentleman clearly must be making in his
dragon
breeches.
Knuckles, yes. It's a camel toe or a moose knuckle, not a dragon knuckle, I think. I mean, dragons are traditionally have their genitalia internally.
Yeah, but they are very horny.
Well, okay, yes.
Yeah. So I'm kind of on the fence there, because it also, yes, I can see the light of approval in your eyes. I can also see that it's maybe just a rock face.
I think so, but it's kind of got the greenish, scaly cast to it.
Gorgeous, like green gold hue.
So it's definitely not in the Rob Ross style of the mountains in the background.
You know, those mountains caught my eyes because they feature heavily in the opening of this book. Because if you look at the peaks, if you really look at the peaks,
yes,
at a first glance they look sort of snow covered,
peaky, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at them closer, like there seems to be subsurface scattering. It seems to be as if
that's what snow does.
Not to this degree,
okay.
Not through the meat and potatoes of the mountain, suggesting that the mountain itself is made of translucent material.
Oh, okay. Is that lens flare? Or is that a planet? It looks like weird lens flare, maybe like...
It's behind the dragon, so it can't be lens flare.
So, exhaust from the Pyramid Star Drive.
Wow, okay. Maybe we better start on the book then, before things go out of control even worse. So the book is called Pyramid Power. And we start off with the early life of our hero, Elfric the Eclectic. It's been a while since I've read the book.
Yes, Elfric the Eclectic.
Elfric the Eclectic. I thought it was a very cool name. A young, budding Norse god cosplayer who is taken as an apprentice by someone we know from a previous book as well.
Lazy Sweet Larold, who was the main character in Her Majesty's Wizard.
Yes, episode 61, I believe that was titled by us, Daniel R. Horney. We have such whimsical titles sometimes.
Yes.
But yes, so I was kind of thrilled to see that after this huckster was chased out of the kingdom of Ponzi, he found employment once more in a rival kingdom where he rose to the position of the Grand Vizier. And that's Phyzier. So it's like a vizier, but he's also like the physicist and the physiognomer and the physiker. Like he sort of combined all that together.
In the Vizier,
yeah. And he was known for let me see, from medical practices.
Malpractices more than that.
Yeah, I think very much so. But so as an established and respected vizier, approaching the end of his career and heading toward retirement, he decided to avail himself of an apprentice, and that was our Elfric, whom he inducted in the secrets of what he called the crystal method, a system of medicine that, I mean, learning this system of medicine, young Elfric was certainly a very busy child.
I don't get it.
It's a song by Crystal Method.
Oh, I don't know. I never heard of that.
Learning the crystal method kept him a very busy child, and I mean he did learn to trip like Larold did. I mean that's the name of the game if you want to keep hope alive. But so yeah, in the early years, young Elfric studied eagerly under lazy sweet Larold, learning the crystal method, while Larold prepared for his retirement, which he was securing by investing heavily in quartz futures. Now they did
a lot of crystal selling. You know, rutile quartz for sleeping problems, rose quartz for I don't know, bad humors.
Yeah, but no, ill humors are certainly comes up again. But he was a tough child to teach as a young man, because he did in fact, like, through the scientific method and not the crystal method, invent several genuinely successful, like, spiritual healing techniques for which certain types of crystal were useful, which Lace Sweet Larold utterly disproved of.
Yeah, we can't have that.
Because, if you have even a minor success, you must overstate it. You must grossly overstate it and claim success on other unrelated tasks. Otherwise, you're not practicing the crystal method. And otherwise, Elfric, you will never be inducted into the Order of the Duck.
I thought that was a very strange name for a crystal method practitioners.
Right, but if it if it behaves like a quack and it sells crystals like a quack, then then they belong in the Order of the Duck.
Yes, I thought that was a very clever one.
Thank you. Sorry, no, all credit to Dave Freer and Eric Flint. I think they did a really great job on that. But so we are whisked through the imagination into the future, because the next thing we see is Elfric as an adult, where he's already inducted into the Order of the Quack and has thus received his nickname, his moniker, and he is Elfric the Eclectic.
Yes, because he's like, he's got these weird methods even for a crystal method practitioner.
A crystal methodist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Peddling his trade as a door-to-door crystal salesman. Down on his luck a little bit. The crystal method has somewhat fallen out of favour.
He hasn't been able to settle anywhere as a Grand Vizier or a crystal Methodist preacher even, so he's just wandering the land.
Yes, when he comes to a very nice, quaint almost, alpine little village, which I think is like the mountains we see in the background. Upon his first wander into the village, he notices a very peculiar thing.
Yeah.
There is, no men.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
There's just at first he only sees women, at first he doesn't notice it. And then the second thing he notices, there's lots of little small dragons all over the place. And you can see them like one's flying by with a basket, and then in the smithy where a woman is beating the hot iron, there's another little small dragon going... Doing
the little bellows.
Doing the little bellows, except he's just actually flaming things. And there's all these little small dragons doing little menial tasks all over the town and just working the fields. And
it seems so paradisic.
It
seems so pleasant and idyllic. These women plying their various trades with these delightful little dragonlings providing assistance. It's sublime. The most wondrous devices coming out of the smithy. The most beautiful pottery being glazed.
I mean, the village is running fine, but it's very odd that there's only women and small dragons.
Yeah.
So he wanders his way into town and sees what's going on, and starts to set up at the marketplace with his little portable stall and starts putting out some crystals,
painted signs,
which gets the appropriate little bit of attention, mainly from Major Blowhard, who comes wandering over to ask him what he's doing and does he have a permit for this. And
she's a bit uptight, wasn't she?
She is. I mean, she does have this little cute green dragon sitting on her shoulder, who occasionally whispers something in her ear.
I like that he had a little sort of angry moustache and angry eyebrows drawn on his face.
Well, I mean, dragons have the little moustache things, don't they?
The noodles, the Asian dragons for the noodles.
That's they have the little. I guess it's a Fu Manchu.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's like,
but he had his because he's such a cheerful, jolly little fellow. Like he had to have his eyebrows like
little angry eyebrows
charcoaled on, so he could be serious on. Yeah, I like that.
A cute little chain around his neck.
Yeah,
gold chain. I mean, I guess it's part of the horde or something. And it's like basically ask him that. Yeah, have you got permission to do this? And he goes like, well, I'm a crystal. I'm of the order of the. I'm order of the duck, and we have our.
Yes.
She goes like, no, can't have that. Like we have to go and talk to the local chief. And get your
management, basically.
Management, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And he goes like, okay, where is it? Well, you find him over there in that like castle-like structure. And
up high on the mountain. Yeah, the sort of eerie.
Yes, castle basically. And she goes like, okay, who should I ask for? Well, there's only one person there, but his name is Leonardo da Volgar.
Yes, the town elder, prophet, and yes. Well, you can sort of summarize it.
Well, yes. So he packs up his little stall and he wanders up to the castle and he wanders in and basically finds like the first non-small dragon here. It's a big one, and he's like sitting there on his like in his throne room, I suppose. Not much of a horde in sight, which we'll learn later what.
I appreciated like the sort of Spartan architecture. Like that's not something you associate with dragons usually. You associate it with huge piles of loot of gold and pottery and stuff
not every dragon hoards gold.
Right.
Some dragons hoard other things.
Yeah.
Books and plushies and teddy bears and other like some I love that comment again, episode 2 of Kaki and Kay Describe the Internet. It's the dragon who was hoarding uncomfortable moments. And dear. So he was just always like sitting there going like trying to like make you uncomfortable as possible and sitting there with a big
just grinning at you. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, but so, I mean, obviously, he has learned well from Lazy Sweet Laurel, so this is not the first time that he's been brought before a village elder in order to explain himself and justify why.
First time that it's a dragon, but...
Right,
yeah.
But Crystal Methodists are nothing if not adaptable to the reality of the situations that they find themselves in. And he clears his throat and he decides to address Leonardo de Vulgar with the dignity befitting someone of his station.
At least as good as he can fake it.
Well, and that's all he does.
And he's
that's the core of the Crystal Method.
Great dragon, I'm here to like ask your permission, grant me the permission to sell my trade in your wonderful village. And he coughs a little bit. It's not a village. In your city. It's not a city. It's like
realm.
Horde. Oh.
In your horde.
Apparently,
yes.
The dragon considers the village to be part of its horde. So, what is it you sell? Oh, crystals and like cure-alls for this, for bunions,
remedies for what ails you.
So the dragon goes like, could you perhaps have anything against curses?
It is my main stock and trade, says Elfric. In fact, I'm known for it. That's what. Do you know what eclectic means?
Not off the.
It means like against
weird.
Curses. It's like it means like curse bane. He very quickly, he almost says like high draconic, and then we realizes who he's talking to, and he goes, it means curse bane in Low-Colonic.
Yes. Well, I think it was marked in my Kindle as 650 people highlighted this passage.
And squinting through fingers that he's covering his eyes with, expecting to be inflamed, like he finds that he's actually gotten away with it.
Yes, because the dragon goes like, okay, well, this is very good, because unfortunately, my daughter is locked in the tower, which is behind the castle, and my sweet, sweet daughter, Princess Flamby, has been has been cursed by my ex into, well, being a dragon, really.
Yeah, okay, so that one confused me.
It takes a little bit of explaining.
It does.
It's not just that...
It takes a while in the book as well.
It is, because he dare not ask too much, because...
No, I thought he was very smart not to.
Yes, but what turns out that the dragon's ex-partner...
Yeah.
Basically cursed her to be the shape of a dragon, and the side effect of the curse was that all the men in the village were now the small dragons. It was like a bit of a knockoff on effect of the curse, and all the village's men,
right? Yeah,
and so it's a bit of a personal matter for Leonardo. Because,
I can understand that. Like, I could really relate to him.
His motto was part of the village, part of the horde. And he's like, okay, well, if you are so specialized in curses, please, by all means, rid my daughter and my horde of this vile curse, and I will reward you greatly.
And for Elfric, like, this is a bit of an ethical challenge, right? Because on the one hand, he has a great inn to ply his trade, right? He can come in here, make a huge claim. This is a prosperous town. He can skin them for whatever they've got, making wild promises, and then slink away under cover of night,
as is wont to do,
as is the way of the Order of the Duck. But he is at the same time terribly impressed with, like, this is a responsible and conscientious leader of a town, as he hasn't seen in a while. Like,
he's more used to the major blowhard types.
Exactly, and they're easy to fool, easy to exploit, and you don't feel terribly guilty. Like, you can't con an honest person.
Exactly.
They say.
I was just going to say that.
And while on the one hand he's incredibly tempted to, if I can con an honest dragon, I maybe I will make it to Grand Vizier. But on the other hand, can he truly do this? Because as much as Lazy Sweet Laurel tried to imprint on him the huckster values of quackery
and second-hand dragon trade,
yeah, I'm surprised that didn't come up more.
No, well, I think he's like probably wiser not to like bring that part of his training up in this regard.
Mention that too
he's
much.
Like, oh, I can think that like there's so many second-hand dragons here to trade for. Is like, and he's like, no, let's not do that.
But as we see on the cover, like, he was an imaginative child. Like, he likes to imagine himself as Thor, the noble, legendary,
the winged helmet.
Yeah,
and totally not a thing among
and the hammer.
Vikings.
No, none of that was a thing. But these were the fables and stories that they engaged as a child, and like seeing real dragons, it leaves him terribly conflicted, because he starts off immediately doing what he's been taught to do. He brings out the rose quartz and tells them, "Oh, this will be good for such and such, and you need an energy grid around you, and you need to activate your chakras."
And the tower gets decked out. He starts like placing his crystals all along all around the tower,
the watchtower.
Yes.
I mean, it's not very crystal method, but it's
no. So he sets it up, and he kindly works his way up there to meet Princess Flamby.
Now at this point, he's well integrated into the town by now, because it's a huge undertaking, of course, like to set up this energy grid and making sure he's selling crystals in like bracelets and necklaces.
he only has so many crystals to sell. He usually has to like stock up in between fleecing little towns. He knows how to find a lot of them. He does a lot of polishing himself, but occasionally you have to hit the grand exchange of the Order of the Duck to
just restock your supplies. But with the remainder of his stock, he indeed mounts the tower to greet Princess Flamby. And bedeck her with what should be the final set of crystals that should activate the energy matrix.
And it turns out she's a lovely little dragoness, not quite as small as the shoulder dragons, which are working in the town, in the village, more like normal human-sized, I suppose. Not quite as big as her father, who was an actual proper dragon.
Hey, in the style of how Americans generally will try anything other than metric system.
Yeah.
And I've heard that, for example, a deer is about as large as 2 bicycles and weighs as much as 800 hamburgers. Oh, wow. How would you describe in such measurements Princess Flamby?
Oh, I think she would be about what kind of deer? Are we talking about roe deer or whitetails or?
I don't know. It's double bicycle-sized deer. So in her case, how many pianos would she weigh?
Oh, only about half a piano. She's quite
Is that a concert piano or is that a standy-uppy piano?
Oh no, standy-uppy definitely.
So half a standy-uppy piano,
maybe a third of a concert piano.
A third of a okay. No, I can immediately imagine her.
Maybe a contrabass and a violin.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Maybe throw in a trumpet for good measure.
Ooh, buy me a drink first, she says.
Yes. So he sets up his thing. He does his crystal thing.
Yeah, he does his whole spiel, displaying the crystals and like running his hands over them until he selects the one that vibrates at the right biorhythmic frequency.
And of course, it comes to the Order of the Duck part of his setup, because he knows that this is not really probably going to resolve the results that he's going to need. But he's done so much good work around the village already that he tries to get Liznardo to sign off on his trip to the resupply depot to get more crystals.
Yeah. Now, this is where I kind of lost faith in Elfric, because, this is him cutting and running.
Yes,
right?
well, it's his crystal method indoctrination that he gets this is the way we've set them up. Now we get the down payment for the next phase, which is far more than he's spent on the crystals that he's been leaving around the village, especially considering what he's been selling to the villagers. And then he's just up and run and
Elfric runs off with the gold and the coins and the jewelry that he's traded for that he has been traded for the crystals that he's saddled this town with, and off he runs, leaving them to their fate with obviously nothing to gain from the crystals that he studded.
Pretty crystals, but it looks good.
Yeah, but it's just some quartz and clearly the product of child labor in the mines and
Well, little hands can do those delicate movements that you need to get the crystals.
I mean, it keeps children busy.
Yeah,
as it kept him in his youth. But as glad as he is to rush off and rejoin his guild and boast of the incredible wealth that he's acquired, even as he's running, we see him slowing down, and he does feel a little guilty. And he was right on the cusp of returning, I think.
Yes.
When Lizonardo the Vulgar overtook him when the shadow just overcame him and the blast of flame, and he had to run for his life from this dragon who had realized that
he's been had.
He's been had. Now, fortunately, he was close enough to the sort of waypoint of his order, where they usually stock up to trade each other, to do each other's crocheting and to help paint each other's signs. So he's able to
polish each other's crystals.
Polish each other's knobs, yes, and able to call on help when they see one of the members of their order being chased by this giant dragon, this furious dragon, and his fellow quacks come to his rescue.
We've got a code 4. We've got a code 4.
Yep. Yells Homer the psychopath very, very softly. He's very hard to hear. He has a big bellowing chest, but he uses such a tiny fraction of it. And he says, "Yeah, but that's made me easier to be understood." And no, I can't hear you when you only whisper.
It's a technique. Speak.
The louder you want to sound, the softer you have to talk, says Homer the psychopath.
Yes. Speak softly but carry a big stick, I believe.
Next up is Anita the aromatic.
Yes.
Whose perfumes.
She's definitely not into the crystal trade. She's more in from the aromatics and the little burning candles with incense and other aromatherapy
Yes, exactly. And she's throwing bushels and bushels of incense onto the sconces to try and confuse the dragon.
She's got a sage brush fire started, and
it's not very effective against dragons, is it?
No, not really, especially not if the fire persuasion.
As Lizonardo is, next up joining the fray is Anton the Attractive. Now, I was confused by that, because he's described as rather an ugly man.
I guess he makes people feel attractive. That's his
that's what I thought it was first, and then he opens his robes and he wields his magnets. That's probably the attractive part.
Yes, that makes much more sense then.
And he's tossing magnets at Lizonardo to, again, very limited effects.
Dragons aren't particularly ferrous, so
exactly.
It doesn't really work on them. Usually they have lots of stuff stuck to them, but which helps with them. Well, stuff that gets embedded in their scales from sleeping on their hoard for so long.
Oh, yeah. He does try one of the major dangers of extremely powerful magnets is if you accidentally swallow 2.
Oh yes,
swallowing 1. Meh. Okay,
yeah,
that'll make its way through. But if you swallow a second one, then that could they could clamp together and pinch together like an intestine.
Yeah. It's I guess if you swallow them at more or less the same time, it shouldn't be a problem, because then they'll just stick together. Hopefully
they'll stick together on the way through if you're lucky. But
if they pinch a bit of tissue, then that'll go necrotic very quickly.
Yeah, but I mean, he has no success in trying to convince
Lizonardo.
Swallow these and then wait 5 minutes and swallow these.
The other one. Yeah.
And Lizonardo says no.
I suppose just getting him to swallow one would be enough, and then you throw another one up against him. And if you get it just right at the time the first one's going through its throat,
that'd be nasty.
Yeah, you can probably do some damage to someone like that. If not, make him very uncomfortable, or maybe even pinch off his flame reservoir and cause an internal combustion.
Yeah, that was the suggestion of probably the most intelligent member of the Order of the Duck, a horse named Clever Hans, known for his mathematical prowess, but not for his communication skills. So he's still there, sort of Morse code clopping.
I think he gets
suggestion.
I think he gets his message: alarm! There is a big dragon coming, but tapped out by the midway point of the battle.
Yeah, at which point, what does a dragon love as a snack?
Well, horses
probably
tend to be...
stupid, delicious horses.
Yeah, I mean, there's like nothing wrong with a good horse steak.
Goodbye, clever Hans. Yeah. And the last member to try her hand at defeating this dragon is Irina, the inaccurate. She is a very bad acupuncturist.
Yes.
And,
she's not a very good archer either.
Definitely. So
I mean, she tries to do the throwing her little acupuncture darts, and credit to her, they do stick in the dragon, but they don't really do anything. They don't even make it through the outer the scale. So they just kind of like. It's got this beautiful studded thing following the...
He looks great.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow all the ley lines. I mean, I guess Anton the Attractive Magnets might have had something to do with that.
Yes, and her inaccuracy as well.
Well, yes. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
So, yeah, she throws out her death fans. I guess she's Korean. Everyone puts on their tinfoil crowns to protect themselves.
Also, doesn't help against dragon breath. We get some people with interesting burns around their heads.
Where
the tinfoil just sears into them, and
someone douses himself with Hongcheng magic liquid.
Oh, I've never heard of that one. What was that?
Oh, yeah. That's where. In the real world, that was a case where a bus driver from, I think, Harbin province claimed that he had invented a magic liquid where if you just put a few drops into water, it becomes a combustible fluid.
Okay.
That it becomes gasoline.
Yes.
And he had a company and it was manufactured. Obviously, he never produced any.
No.
But such was the claim of Hongcheng in this world as well, that he could take water and turn it into oil by dousing himself with this. I mean, to his great fortune... It didn't work.
No, I mean, he didn't go up like a Tibetan monk.
Yeah, so he...
Sorry, a Vietnamese monk. He didn't go up like a Vietnamese monk.
And finally, the last-ditch effort to save themselves from this dragon is to all wear their matching bracelets and to deliver onto him another curse that he will die before 2012.
Yes.
Now, this does, as silly as it is and as pointless, it does sort of catch his attention. Because here is a curse, the thing that he fears, the thing that his daughter was afflicted with, and he realizes what's happening. Certainly when Elfric surrenders, he surrenders, and on behalf of the Order of the Duck, he faces the wrath of this dragon, standing amid the toasted and cowering forms
the ruins
of his...
What do you call it? A base?
Yeah, they have a
center.
Mountain. Yeah.
I think they call it the pond, despite the fact that it didn't have any.
Yes, that's where they keep their bread.
Yes.
And he apologizes to the dragon, who snatches him up in the caudal loop immediately.
Which is the scene we see on the front of the book.
And it's a scene that actually meant a lot to me. That this huckster, this quack, apologizes for his deception.
The error of his ways. He realized that he should not be doing this. And it's not just the fact that he's being held by a dragon's caudal loop.
No. And in the same way that he was probably already going to turn back before he saw that he was being chased. He was going to admit it, still, even now, he faced the possibility of death. And he tells him that while most of the crystal method is bullshit, he did discover there are some crystal properties that can maybe help. Nothing is magic. Nothing just transforms someone, he says, at which point... The dragon realizes, you know what? If all of these curses, if the entire Order of the Duck, if they're all full of shit, then maybe my daughter was not transformed against her will.
Maybe she's just what she wants to be, and be a dragon because that's her father, and she loves him for that.
And the power of her love was such that she became a dragon. Now, weird to think that all the dudes in the village wanted to be little dragons, but hey,
I mean, I guess it's nice. You can sit on your you can sit in the fireplace at night, be comfortable. You don't get a lot of nagging. I mean, you still have to do your chores.
And once you see your buddy doing it, that seems like a really fucking great life. And you get cuddled against the boobs all the time.
Yes, exactly. You can get long dragon neck between boobs,
and it's fantastic.
I mean, if I could be a small dragon, I think I'd jump on the chance. It kind of looks like fun.
It does.
It looks like be a book dragon. That sounds like a great thing.
Oh, I'm looking at the little librarianess here, which is, I guess, the closest thing we have to a book dragon.
I mean, dragons are a species of cat, so that makes sense. Yeah.
And with the realization that dawns in both Lizonardo and Elfric retires from the Order of the Duck, unable to persuade his fellow quacks
that
to abandon their ways.
Although, or maybe Anton the Attractive can be talked into...
I mean, if he ever combs his hair, maybe.
Yes, and I mean, there might be a place for him. I mean, like crystals and magnets are pretty close on the spectrum anyway.
Maybe in a future book he'll come around. But meanwhile, it's Elfric who returns to the Horde.
Yes, part of the village, part of the Horde.
Exactly.
And he did get along very well with Princess Flamby. I think they seem to have hit it off very well. Although he is not a small dragon himself, he is willing to perform the services involved of being one such,
I mean, he's not as good as at like blowing fire on.
No,
on
but
things,
not every dragon can do that.
And they return to find her, like, having discarded most of the bullshit crystals, but already, like, scraping the outer layer of the mountain to reveal the quartz deposits inside, realizing that these...
pyramidal shapes.
Exactly, that there is a crystal pyramid, that the whole reason that all of these humans have been transforming into dragons is because of the magic of the crystal power on which they are sitting, fulfilling...
the hidden prophecy?
And suddenly the prophecy comes up. I'm confused about that, but...
It turns out that, the prophecy was inscribed on the pyramid, which nobody could read.
I know, it felt like a bit of an ass pull.
I
was kind of disappointed in Eric Flint and Dave Freer. Do a better job next time.
Yeah.
And also, hey, the next time that you bring out a book that we discuss the next week, can you make it a sequel? Like, I found it so confusing. Oh, we'll just get the next book by Eric Flint and Dave Freer off the shelf.
I guess it was...
Had nothing...
No, we have to review this book first.
Yes, I know. So we've done pyramids before. How many points do pyramids have? Many points do pyramids have, Kaki? Yeah, that's right. Five traditionally.
Yes. But there's like...
And the internal chakra, so 6.
Since we are doing crystals, I think when it comes to Christology, the 7-pointed crystal is the more... so it's, those crystal rods which have the tapered tips?
I don't... Like kryptonite?
Kind of like that, yeah.
Okay,
so
the
good ones have, like, they don't have a pyramidical tip, they have a 7-pointed tip.
Okay.
And of course it's best if it's natural. But so...
natural, yeah.
Natural, as well as in not someone sitting there grinding it until you get the right number of facets. But 7 facets seems to be the good crystal number.
Awesome. All right.
So I say out of 7.
Out of 7, and you'll give it a...
I'll give it a topaz out of 7.
Okay. And speaking of reviews, if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing a disappointingly 5-pointed star. Or you can get in touch with us at CoverMyAssCast on Twitter. We CoverMyAssCast at gmail.com. If you want to send us a book, we'd love to hear from you. But meanwhile, what do we have in store for our readers next week?
Next week's book is by Sharon McCrum. It's called Bimbos of the Death Sun.
For joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Kaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover. Yes, yes.
To do that. And if Bimbos of the Death Sun, we have to do that one.
And if any time we are going to do a book, it's like...
Is this it? Is this it? Is this the one?
It could be.
Are we going to do... Okay. No, I'm going to make that part of my campaign platform, that we do this book, that we do Bimbos of the Death Sun. You, as my campaign manager, I insist that you make this happen.